Welcome to Matters Financial, Geopolitical from a Frontier. I trust you had a great weekend. It's gotten very hot in the daytime here in Nairobi, and just getting around town means you've got to take bottles of water with you, I find. Let me start with some macro thoughts. Annals of Finance. When the Feds went after the hedge fund legend Stephen A. Cohen. Cohen was a captivating figure on Wall Street. He was not the sort of investor who, like Warren Buffett, took a large stake in a company and held it for years, immersing himself in how the business worked. He was a short-term speculator who built a vast personal fortune by placing high-volume bets on small movements in stock prices. He was often driven by earnings announcements and other such events, and maintained high returns against the odds year after year. He was short and thick, had a fierce mind and a quick temper, and lived in a 35,000 square foot mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut. A passionate art collector, he would spend $100 million or more on a single work. Smiling his gap-toothed kid in a candy store smile, Cohen arrived right at the start of one of the season's most hotly anticipated art auctions, another assertion of power. He knew that the sale couldn't begin without him. Toward the end of the auction, Giacometti's bronze sculpture, L'Homme au Doigt, Pointing Man, came on the block. It is widely considered one of the artist's greatest works. After several rounds of aggressive bidding, Cohen placed the winning bid, paying in total $141.3 million. It was the most anyone had ever paid for a sculpture at auction. Go back to the previous article in the New Yorker called The Empire of Age, Black Age. In subsequent legal filings, SAC has claimed that Munno and Slate coined the term Black Age as humorous commentary, but according to subsequent filings for the Department of Justice, Black Age was a phrase meaning inside information. Put up a photograph of Giacometti's bronze sculpture, The Pointing Man, rather remarkable, isn't it? And a quote from Alberto Giacometti: "The object of art is not to reproduce reality, but to create a reality of the same intensity." Look at this spectacular sunrise at the beach in Diani. This photograph is by Bwanguila. Pontifex, may the Holy Family watch over all child immigrants and accompany the vulnerable and the voiceless on their journey. You know, we were in the Seychelles a while ago and we came back on this rather big ferry. It was just so choppy. I couldn't help thinking, you know, all these folks out on the open seas. It must be frightful. Political reflections. Venezuela holds military exercises as US extends national emergency order. I think Venezuela and Zimbabwe are the age that Hunter S. Thompson has described as an age. The only people who know what it really is are those who've gone over. Tsai Ing-wen, the Taiwanese president, had a great visit to Twitter headquarters. I'll put up a photograph of that. She did not meet with the president-elect. Put up another photograph of Pontifex, the Pope, and Mahmoud Abbas, who went to visit him at the Vatican. The Trump team rang the European Union and asked what country is leaving next, with a tone suggesting the Union is falling apart this year, according to the outgoing US ambassador to the bloc. And as I said in December, at this moment, President Putin has Fortress Europe surrounded. Interesting piece in Asia Times, and that brings us once again to Henry Kissinger, the puppet master of Trump's foreign policy. As leaked late last year in Germany's Bild Zeitung newspaper, Kissinger has drafted a plan to officially recognize Crimea as part of Russia and lift the Obama administration's economic sanctions. The plan fits into Kissinger's overall strategy, call it a traditional British balance of power or divide and rule approach of breaking up the Eurasian front, Russia, China, Iran, that constitutes the real threat to what Mattis defines as the established world order. The strategy consists in seducing the alleged weaker top threat, Russia, away from the stronger China, while keeping and antagonizing, harassing the third and weakest pole, Iran. All the above points to a very crowded chessboard. Trump will do business and clinch deals with China, while his deep state-tinged cabinet barks the usually explosive national security rhetoric. Alan Kissinger plots a Russia-China split, and Moscow-Beijing secretly concoct concerted moves. I wrote about this in November when I said, as Trump has indicated, China is the main adversary, and that to triangulate China, the US needs Russia on its side, not on China's. This Stratford chart shows why US-China trade is more important to Beijing than to Washington. This is from Holger. Trump, according to a report in the Sunday Times, wants to hold a summit with Putin in Iceland. In eyeing Iceland's capital, Trump's team may be hoping to recreate the optics of a Reagan-era nuclear agreement. Former President Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev, then General Secretary of the Soviet Union's Communist Party, held a 2-day summit in Reykjavik in October 1986 to work on what eventually became a major nuclear disarmament treaty between the two superpowers in 1987. And that's the main point, to recreate the optics of a Reagan-era nuclear agreement. I wrote again when I was saying, here comes Trump, I see Trump playing a Ronald Reagan game. Interesting piece in The Guardian, Putin, behold the other man of the moment. During the 2012 US presidential campaign, Mitt Romney referred to Russia as America's most significant geopolitical foe, and Barack Obama pounced on it as a gaffe. My opponent and his running mate are new to foreign policy, he quipped with an ironic pause before the word new. You don't call Russia number one enemy, not Al-Qaeda, Russia, unless you're still stuck in a Cold War mind warp. Even Obama wouldn't dare to make that joke now. Last week we had to contemplate seriously the startling possibility not only that Putin possesses a video of Donald Trump looking on while Russian prostitutes urinate on a bed in a high-end hotel room, but also that the president-elect coordinated his entire campaign with the Kremlin leader. Trump, of course, slammed the dossier detailing his alleged ties to Putin as fake news, a total political witch hunt, but no one in Washington now is dismissing Russia, as Obama did 2 years ago, as a regional power. Russia is back, and it is all down to Putin. If Russia's security services have filmed Trump engaging in that kind of behavior, it would allow them to blackmail the leader of the free world. That would mean Putin has scored an intelligence coup more complete than anything any Soviet leader achieved. Even the fact we're discussing this shows he has restored Russia as a country to be reckoned with. Within 5 months, Yeltsin had stepped aside to make Putin acting president, and he has dominated Russia ever since, his first priority being to restore the prestige that his homeland enjoyed in his youth. He relentlessly strengthened his grip on Russia, crushing first the Chechens, then the media, then the oligarchs, then opposition parties, to create what insiders have called manual control. Russia has been a great power for centuries, Putin told Parliament during the hearings that confirmed him as a prime minister in August 1999. We should not drop our guard in this respect. Neither should we allow our opinion to be ignored. In that regard, if in no others, its mission accomplished, no one is ignoring Russia's opinion anymore. Go and have a look at that piece I wrote, Putin's Parabolic Rebound, and previously I've written something called Putin, the Geopolitical Grandmaster. Interesting piece in The Spectator, which is saying Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner are the most powerful people in the court of King Donald Trump. Donald Trump will not find satisfaction as the 45th President of the United States of America. He really wants to be king. Trump seems determined to treat the Oval Office as just one of his courts, the principal court, perhaps, at least for 4 years, but one of many. Trump's loyal third wife, Melania, intends to stay in New York to look after Barron, their 10-year-old princeling, at least until he leaves prep school. In Donald's head, Ivanka is far more than, as he puts it, one of the great beauties of the world. He loves her brains, her poise, and her personalized global brand. She is said to be his closest advisor, his Svengali, and played the part of proxy wife during the election campaign when Melania was unavailable. Trump believes she would make a tremendous vice president. She's popular too in a way that Donald can't match. And I've got to agree with that. Interesting interview of Donald Trump in Built, where he's really gone after Europe and all kinds of things. Do take a look. 3 Shiites were executed in Bahrain, and there was some very hard-hitting language calling it targeted assassinations. That was, I think, Human Rights Watch. The Sunday Times, Theresa May calls for a clean and hard Brexit that will see Britain pull out of the single market. Promise to create a strong new partnership with the European Union. Prime Minister will finally lay her cards on the table, making clear that the UK is set to pull out of the single market. Downing Street source said last night that May had gone for the full works, although the Prime Minister's staff admitted her words were likely to cause a market correction that could lead to a fresh fall in the pound. The pound actually fell below 120 for the first time since October's flash crash. It's now trading at 120.29, and I'll put up another sterling chart. Measure this fall versus previous falls. Bluffing over banks is a dangerous Brexit strategy for the government, says Scouse View. Let's move on to the currency markets. Euro dollar 106.21, dollar index 101.19, Japanese yen 113.95, Swiss franc 1.0114, the pound 120.30, the Australian dollar 0.7478, Indian rupee 68.245, South Korean won 1181.51, Rial 322.13, Egyptian pound 18.9855, South African rand 13.5513. Dollar index, I'll put up a 3-month chart, last trading at 101.54. We're coming back down a little bit. We've got to keep an eye on the 99.50 and 100 area. Charlie Bilelio tweeted, 2 revolutionary companies went public in the summer of 2004. These are their returns. Google up 1,555%. Domino's Pizza up 2,401%. Gold, I'll put up a 6-month chart. This has gone higher than I expected at 12.04 last. I expect it to drop back down again. But clearly we've got some geopolitical issues in the background. Oil caps its worst week since November. US crude oil is at $53.15. And as I said before, I do not see WTI trading above 50 under any circumstances through 2017. Military intervention to end Gambia impasse draws close, as the FT Premium Times, a Nigerian news website, reported earlier that the Nigerian army had ordered more than 800 soldiers to report for potential deployment in in a regional force to Gambia. British military personnel are in Nigeria training soldiers for operations against Boko Haram militants in the northeast. An intervention would not require UN approval if launched after Mr. Jammeh's mandate expires, said Western diplomats who are following a crisis viewed as a test of West Africa's commitment to democracy. Adama Barrow, who defeated Mr. Jammeh in the freest polls in the tiny nation's history, attended an African summit in Mali in the weekend and met Francois Hollande, the French president, who said everything must be done so that effectively by January 19, Mr. Barrow can take office. Mr. Barrow then went to Dakar, where Macky Sall, the Senegalese president, will host him until his inauguration. I'll put up a photograph of Adama Barrow. I had the pleasure to meet the French President Francois Hollande. African Union will stop recognizing Jammeh as Gambian president on the 19th of January. And in my piece from the 12th of December, after the Arab Spring, this is the Black Spring, I was saying essentially, he's in the departure lounge. This is the method of his departure that's at issue. Trump's team queries about Africa point to skepticism. This is a report in the New York Times. President Trump's views of Africa have until now been a mystery, but a series of questions from the Trump transition team to the State Department indicate an overall skepticism about the value of foreign aid and even about American security interests on the world's second largest continent. How does US business compete with other nations in Africa? Are we losing out to the Chinese? Asks one of the first questions. Quickly followed about queries about humanitarian assistance money. With so much corruption in Africa, how much of our funding is stolen? Why should we spend these funds on Africa when we are suffering here in the US? We've been fighting Al-Shabaab for a decade. Why haven't we won? Poses one question. Also noted the framing of some of their questions suggests a narrower definition of US interests in Africa and a more transactional and short-term approach to policy and engagement with African countries. J. Peter Pham has been mentioned for the job of Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs in the Trump administration. In other questions, the Trump transition team challenges the benefits of a trade pact known as the African Growth and Opportunity Act. Most of AGOA imports of petroleum products, with the benefits going to national oil companies. Why do we support that massive benefit to corrupt regimes? The questionnaire asks. We've been hunting Coney for years. Is it worth the effort? The LRA has never attacked US interests. Why do we care? Is it worth the huge cash outlays? I hear that even the Ugandans are looking to stop searching for him since they no longer view him as a threat. So why do we? And then another question asks, is PEPFAR worth a massive investment when there are so many security concerns in Africa? A strange attitude runs through this, he said. There's a sort of recurrent skepticism that Africa matters to US interests at all. It's entirely negative in orientation. That leaves with the final question, how do we prevent the next Ebola outbreak from hitting the US? J. Peter Pham has been mentioned for the job of Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs in the Trump administration. As far as foreign assistance is concerned, Pham adds, the arrival of a new administration, especially one that is decidedly very much not business as usual, affords a unique opportunity to seriously rethink the US approach to both humanitarian assistance and international development. Paris sends Sahel signal. This is Africa Confidential, with US policy on Africa still a cipher, and the UK in retreat from Europe. France reaffirms its security commitments to the region. My piece which I wrote on behalf of Standard Chartered, was all about finding opportunities in disequilibrium. I think essentially we've got a call Sub-Saharan Africa in disequilibrium right now. Congo's central bank doubles rates to 14% from 7% to tackle inflation. South African all shares up 4.23% this year. Has had a very strong start. Dollar rand, the rand is at 13.526. As I've said, I think there's a turning of the tide in favour of the rand. Egyptian pound, last at 18.9855. Lowest it's been in the last few months was 1950 plus. And I think this seems to be an interesting point to enter if you're interested. Nigeria all share down 2.04% this year. Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index up 2.75% this year. I'm bullish about that. President Magufuli has warned newspapers over dissent. Said on Friday, days were numbered for newspapers deemed to incite dissent. We will not allow Tanzania to be a dump yard for inciting newspaper content. This will not happen under my administration. He accused two newspapers, which he did not name, of seeking to cause trouble. Whenever you read them, they are full of inciting content. Their days are numbered. Mutinying soldiers seize entrances in Ivory Coast city of Korhogos, and that's still bubbling under the surface. I like the Sunday Nation cartoon that was tweeted by Nell Kims. The European Investment Bank is set to undertake its own investigations around what happened at Shelter Afrique. The Kenya shilling is nudging 104. Nairobi all shares down 7.05% and at a 40-month low. It's down 7.05% this year alone. NSE 20 is down 6.75% this year. The NSE 20 fell below 3,000 points. This was not being seen since 2008. My piece over the weekend was a brutal start to 2017 at the NSE. It's been a brutal start at the Nairobi Securities Exchange in 2017. The Nairobi all share has slumped 7.05% since the start of the year and closed Friday at a 40-month low. The all share peaked at a record high of 176 on February 20, 2015 and entered a bear market in October 2015 and again in January and in July 2016 before firmly entering a bear market in August last year. A classic bear market is one where an index has fallen 20% from a peak. The NSE 20 is minus 6.75% in 2017, closed below 3,000 on Friday, levels not seen since 2008. The NSE 20 peaked on February 27, 2015 at 5,491.37 and entered a bear market on August 8, 2015 and is minus 45.89% since the February 2015 high. For those who hold to the efficient markets hypotheses, they would argue that the market is a forward-looking animal and the Securities Exchange is simply pricing in sharpened political risk. We are, after all, in an election year. The market is further pricing in that the banks constitute an outsized weighting at the Securities Exchange, will no longer be able to shield the damage post the interest rate cap, and 2017 earnings will naturally look poor in the comparison with 2016. My view is just about everything negative is now baked into the price. Baron Rothschild is credited with saying, "The time to buy is when there's blood in the streets." He should know Rothschild made a fortune buying in the panic that followed the Battle of Waterloo against Napoleon. The world's second wealthiest person, Warren Buffett, has warned you'd pay a very high price in the stock market for a cheery consensus. So my first overarching point is that valuations are at rock bottom levels, and it is at these moments that the smart investor sits up and takes notice. In these kinds of bearish conditions, it's important to pick your spots. Just buying the index is not an optimal strategy. We have witnessed serious divergence in price performance. It's therefore a more Darwinian environment. Steer entirely clear of companies that have had a history of corporate governance challenges, except for Kenya Airways, where the chairman, Michael Joseph, is on a personal legacy, national interest type mission and will not be denied. Buy Safaricom at these discounted levels. Safaricom is an outstanding machine and on the radar of every investor across the world. The only banking share to produce a positive return in 2016 was Standard Chartered. I expect that outperformance to continue. KCB and Barclays Bank also look good value. Kenal Coal was a big outlier in 2016, and a gently rising oil price is a gentle tailwind for 2017. This is a moment to be agile. Let me leave you with the French cultural theorist Paul Virilio. We are facing the emergence of a real collective madness, reinforced by the synchronization of emotions, the sudden globalization of effects in real time that hits all humanity at the same time in the name of progress. Emergency exit. We have entered a time of general panic. You can check any listed share via a link on Rich Wrap-Ups. Save the Elephants tweeted, "These are elephants climbing over the SGR, determined to use their normal migration path between Savo East and Savo West national parks." Airtel's second layoff in a year turns focus on turnaround bid, sent home 100 of its staff. The Star leads probe Jimmy Wanjigi over Jacob Juma murder. And I shall leave you with that and wish you a tremendous week. Thank you so much for stopping by.